Number 2 on our list would have been unhappy to be second to anybody. He was an eccentric, insecure man who was abandoned as a child. He once threatened to kill his stepfather and burn his house down. In later years, he would grow violent defending his work and would even suffer a nervous breakdown. Yet looking back, no one can dispute the importance of this man, Sir Isaac Newton, founder of modern science, master of mathematics and physics.
I think Newton is the greatest scientist of the millennium, up there with Galileo, Darwin, and Einstein. But Newton probably had the most influence. He was the person who put together mathematics, physics, and the universe and helped us see what science can do.
Life on Earth was not the same after Newton compared with before. If he didn't exist, it would have been another 100 years before someone would have done what he contributed.
Isaac Newton was a farm boy from the rural English town of Woolsthorpe, whose innate intelligence and curiosity were recognized early on. He studied at Cambridge, but when the bubonic plague struck England in the 1660s and cities were evacuated, Newton returned home, and that's where it all began.
He left Cambridge and went to live in the countryside, where he devoted himself to meditation and mathematical experiments. And it was during this that he did his monumental work on the laws of motion.
Sitting in an orchard, Newton saw an apple plummet from its tree and wondered why it fell straight down toward the center of the earth. From that simple observation, he extrapolated the laws that govern the Earth's gravity, the orbits of the planets, the positions of the stars.
He was in his teens and just barely in his 20s, where he then sort of single-handedly deduces the laws of gravity and laws of optics and laws of motion. That is sheer brilliance.
He devised a complex new branch of mathematics almost as an afterthought. We now know it as calculus. Almost every problem of higher engineering or physics is built upon the foundation of Newton's calculus. And it's indispensable for plotting the movements of planets and the paths of spacecraft.
You guys are up there, and who's driving? That's a good question. I think Isaac Newton's doing most of the driving right now.
We couldn't have gotten to the moon without Sir Isaac Newton. We wouldn't have gotten there. Here is a fellow that hundreds and hundreds of years ago came up with these laws of physics that have endured for so long. I mean, he's the guy that taught us what makes the world go round.
The impact of his work is staggering. Just look at the other names on our list who owe him a debt. If it hadn't been for Newton, the Wright brothers would never have gotten off the ground. Henry Ford's Model T would be up on blocks. Edison would still be sitting in the dark, and Bill Gates would be building a better abacus. Newton didn't start the scientific revolution, but he took the discoveries of those who came before him, like Copernicus, Galileo, and Descartes, and increased their significance many-fold.
Newton has a wonderful phrase. He says, they may be giants and we may be pygmies, but we stand on the shoulders of giants and we can see further. Newton finally made it clear that science is here to stay, that you can't attack science anymore as mistaken or wrong-headed or evil or simply unnecessary. He made science central to Western thought.
The scientific age that Newton ushered in is so much a part of our lives today, we often take it for granted. But it was his groundbreaking theories of light and motion, mechanics and gravity that would eventually make science accessible to everyone. Finally, we could comprehend our planet and take our newfound understanding to the edges of the universe.